Hare Krishna devotees, welcome. Welcome to ISKCON West Outpost of Sri Jagannath Mandir. So today we have His Grace Padmanabh Achyuta Prabhu, who will be taking the Bhagavad Gita class. So he will be dealing with Bhagavad Gita shloka from chapter 5 and shloka number 9. So let us welcome Prabhu and we will enlighten ourselves.
Yeah,
with the
sloka
class.
29.
29, yes. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, shall we start, Prabhu? Am I
Yes.
audible
Yes,
sufficiently?
Prabhu. Yes, you are
Hare
audible.
Krishna.
We can begin.
Fine. So let me start with pranam mantras. Om Anjana Timurandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chashpuram Mulitam Yena Tashmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stavitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayyam Tadanti Swapadantiham Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Uttapada Kamalam Sri Guru Vaisnavam Cha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sana Lalita Sri Vishakan Vitam Cha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanu Sutta Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpa Trubhashya Kripa Sindhu Bevacha Patidana Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paschasya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna devotees. Let me share today's verse. Then we will get into the details. So, is it sufficiently visible? Hare Krishna. Yes, Prabhuji. Okay. Thanks, Prabhu. So Bhagavad Gita 5.9. Bhoktaram yajna tapasam sarvaloka maheshwaram suhurdam sarva bhutana natva mam shantim richati. Bhoktaram yajna tapasam sarvaloka maheshwaram suhurdam sarva bhutana natva mam shantim richati. Bhoktaram yajna tapasam sarvaloka maheshwaram suhurdam sarva bhutana Jnatva mam shantim richati. Word to word translation. Bhoktaram, the beneficiary. Yajna, of sacrifices. Tapasam, and finances and austerities. Sarva loka, of all planets and the demigods thereof. Mahaishwaram, the supreme lord. Suhurdam, the benefactor. Sarva, of all. Bhutana, the living entities. Natva, thus knowing. Mam, me, Lord Krishna. Shantim, relief from material pangs. Richati, one achieves. Translation and purport by Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation. A person in full consciousness of me, knowing me to be the ultimate beneficiary of all sacrifices and austerities, the supreme lord of all planets and demigods, and the benefactor and well-wisher of all living entities, attains peace from the pangs of material miseries. Purport. The conditioned souls within the clutches of the illusionary energy are all anxious to attain peace in the material world, but they do not know the formula for peace, which is explained in this part of Bhagavad Gita. The greatest peace formula is simply this: Lord Krishna is the beneficiary in all human activities. Men should offer everything to the transcendental service of the Lord, because He is the proprietor of all the planets and the demigods thereon. No one is greater than He. He is greater than the greatest of the demigods, Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma. In the Vedas, Svetashvatara Upanishad 6.7, the Supreme Lord is described as Tam Ishwaranam Paramam Maheshwaram. Under the spell of illusion, living entities are trying to be lords of all they survey, but actually they are dominated by the material energy of the Lord. The Lord is the master of material nature, and the conditioned souls are under the stringent rules of material nature. Unless one understands these bars facts, it is not possible to achieve peace in the world, either individually or collectively. This is the sense of Krishna consciousness. Lord Krishna is the supreme predominator, and all living entities, including the great demigods, are his subordinates. One can attain perfect peace only in the complete Krishna consciousness. The fifth chapter is practical explanation of Krishna consciousness, generally known as Karma Yoga. The question of mental speculation as to how Karma Yoga can give liberation is answered herewith. To work in Krishna consciousness is to work with the complete knowledge of the Lord as the predominator. Such work is not different from the transcendental knowledge. Direct Krishna consciousness is Bhakti Yoga, and Jnana Yoga is a path leading to Bhakti Yoga. Krishna consciousness means to work in full knowledge of one's relationship with the Supreme Absolute, and the perfection of this consciousness is full knowledge of Krishna, or the Supreme Personality of Godhead. A pure soul is the eternal servant of God as his fragmental part and parcel. He comes into contact with Maya, illusion, due to the desire to lord it over Maya, and that is the cause of his many sufferings. As long as he is in contact with matter, he has to execute work in terms of material necessities. Krishna consciousness, however, brings one into spiritual life even while one is within the jurisdiction of matter, for it is an arousing of spiritual existence by practice in the material world. The more one is advanced, the more he is freed from the clutches of matter. The Lord is not partial toward anyone. Everything depends on one's practical performance of duties in Krishna consciousness, which helps one control the senses in every respect and conquer the influence of desire and anger. And one who stands fast in Krishna consciousness, controlling the above, above mentioned patience, remains factually in the transcendental stage or Brahma Nirvana. The eightfold yoga mysticism is automatically prescribed in Krishna consciousness because the ultimate purpose is served. There is a gradual process of elevation in the practice of yama, niyama, asana, pranayama, pratyahara, dharana, dhyana, and samadhi. But these only preface perfection by devotional service, which alone can award peace to the human being. It is the highest perfection of life. Thus end the Bhakti Vedanta purport of the fifth chapter of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita in the matter of Karma Yoga or action in Krishna consciousness. So Hare Krishna devotees, this is the long purport, and this long purport, Prabhupada concludes this Karma Yoga very nicely, and as this sloka also concludes very nicely. And before getting into the today's verse, so let us set the scene. Fifth chapter is all about, we all know, Karma Yoga or action in Krishna consciousness. So the preliminary matters which we discussed in the chapter 3 already. So we all know chapter 2 is the summary of or Bhagavad Gita, and the preliminary matters, everything is discussed in chapter 3, that a person on the platform of knowledge no longer has any duties to perform. So it raises the question. What is that question in third chapter? Which is better, work in devotion or renunciation of work? So obviously Krishna recommended work in Krishna consciousness, right? That it is better than renunciation of work. So this fifth chapter opens with Arjuna's similar question only. And how to understand, before getting into this verse, this particular fifth chapter, divided into 6 divisions, and one division is the preview for the next chapter, 6th chapter. But this sloka takes or deals the overall summary of these slokas. So that is the reason I would like to emphasize on what is this the divisions of this fifth chapter. As I mentioned, there are 6 divisions are there. So the first division, the 5 divisions, we will discuss directly. After the verse, we will think about the 5th division. Okay, now we are in 6th division. So try to remember 5 divisions which I am going to tell. And the first division of this chapter is Nishkama Karma Yoga. That is easier than renouncing the work. How to understand this division? Arjuna again asks whether renouncing work is superior to working with detachment. Krishna replies, both are equal in the sense that both are means to the same goal, but emphasizing working with detachment as easier and superior. So Krishna recommended in the first division of understanding of this, Nishkama Karma Yoga. Then the second division, how to perform Nishkama Karma Yoga. So in the first division, we understood what is meant by Nishkama Karma Yoga. In the second division, we are trying to learn how to perform this Nishkama Karma Yoga. Again, the answer is one. Performing Nishkama Karma Yoga identifies neither with his body nor the activities that his body performs. There is no conception of bodily platform. That is what the answer to how to perform Nishkama Karma Yoga. By his detached actions, he is freed from the reactions of his activities. Since he offered everything to the Lord, then by his detached actions, he is freed from all reactions of his activities. So that is the second division question as well as answer. The third division of understanding of this 5th chapter, Karma Yoga, platform of knowledge. That means knowing the 3 doers. So karma is okay. Who are those people doing or getting into this business? There are 3 doers. Who are they? The doer 1, the living being. What is living being? Who knows that all bodily activities are automatically carried out by the modes of material nature? Doer number 2. After those activities are sanctioned by the super soul. After those activities are sanctioned by the super soul. That is doer number 3. Okay, so from these 3 understanding, what one person can understand. What are those 3? The living being, and who knows all bodily activities are automatically carried out by the modes of material nature, the person and material nature, and then super soul. They are the 3 doers. And what is the purpose or knowing the 3 doers are attains enlightenment through that knowledge. That is the third division of understanding of 5th chapter. And 4th division deals with liberation by focusing on the super soul. So we have to aspire for liberation. So how to aspire? One who in knowledge devotionally fixes his consciousness on the super soul and remains materially equipped attains liberation in the near future. So the one who come to that stage, focusing on the super soul with all this knowledge, whatever accumulated in other chapters, the jnana and transcendental knowledge, 3rd chapter, and especially about karma yoga, doer and who is this 3, and then super soul and remains materially equipped, attains liberation in the near future. This is the division number 4. And division number 5 was the last week discussion. So now I am not getting into that. So let me get into today's division, that is peace on the platform of liberation. Peace on the platform of liberation. So everywhere, entire world is speaking peace, peace, peace. So in this verse is the concluding verse of all the 4 points what we have discussed. Not only 4, the 5 points. This one, and the 6th one will be the conclusion of all this, or summary of all this. 5 divisions of understanding of this karma yoga, action in Krishna consciousness. So already in the 3rd chapter, the preliminary or elementary things we have discussed. In 5th chapter, more elaboratively we have discussed. Now we will get into the purport of today's verse. So here the theme, before getting into the verse, the theme of today's verse is tells Arjuna how he can remain peaceful on of all places, a battlefield, even in a battlefield, only by understanding Krishna's supremacy and act accordingly. So what is the theme today? Tells Arjuna how he can remain peaceful even in the battlefield. How it is happening? Understanding Krishna's supremacy and act accordingly. Now we will get into the today's sloka and purport. And here in this sloka, Krishna gives what is the greatest peace formula. The one who understands these 3 things, what I am going to tell, so they will attain the peace formula. How? Lord Krishna is. Try to understand. Lord Krishna is these 3. What are those 3? Bhoktaram Yajna Tapasam. First one. What is this Bhoktaram Yajna Tapasam? Beneficiary of all sacrifices and finances. Whatever sacrifices, this yajna, that yajna, and whatever the performance of finances, this fasting, that chanting, everything. But he is the beneficiary of all these sacrifices and finances. That is the first understanding about the Lord Krishna. That means offer everything in the transcendental service of the Lord. Whatever we do, even killing a person, offer everything in the transcendental service of the Lord. The second point to understand the peace formula. Lord Krishna is Sarva Loka Maheshwaram. What is this Sarva Loka Maheshwaram? Because supreme proprietor of all planets and demigods. He is the supreme proprietor. If anybody else is telling, I am the proprietor of this, that, no. There is a supreme proprietor of all planets. Ambani may say, I am, proprietor of this so-and-so group of so-and-so, this. No. He is the supreme proprietor of all planets and demigods. No one is greater than him. Greater than greatest demigods. Lord is the greater than greatest demigods. No one is greater than him. That is what Sarva Loka Maheshwara. This is the reference from Shveteshwatra Upanishad 6.7. It is mentioned in that verse, Krishna is the supreme Ishvara. So he is the proprietor. Only this jiva think, I am the proprietor of this building, I am the proprietor of this particular belongings, etc., etc. But Lord is the supreme proprietor. Then how to understand this further? Sarvaloka Maheshwara. The living entity is under illusion in trying to lord over material nature. This is the problem with living entity. But he is dominated by material energy. I am repeating, this living entity, quite opposite. This living entity is under illusion in trying to lord over material nature, but he is dominated by the material energy. So this is what Sarvaloka Maheshwaram. The third stanza. Suhurdam Sarva Bhutana. What is this Suhurdam Sarva Bhutana? Benefactor and well-wisher of all living entity. So what is this Suhurdam Sarva Bhutana? Benefactor and well-wisher of all living entities. So this is what Lord Krishna is. I am repeating what is the peace formula. Understanding these 3. Lord is Bhoktaram Yajna Tapasam, Sarvaloka Maheshwaram, Suhurdam Sarva Bhutana. Right? All these things are, he is the beneficiary of all sacrifice and finances. Sarvaloka Maheshwaram, supreme proprietor of all planets and demigods. Surdam Sarva Bhutana, benefactor and well-wisher of all living entities. So these are the three things one should understand about the Lord Krishna. Then they can focus into the 7 points what I am going to tell now. This is what the purport of today's verse. So these 7 points focuses or constitutes the Prabhupada purport to understand better whatever these 3 points above we mentioned. So from the purport, first out of 7 things, the first thing which here we are focusing here is this chapter is a practical application of Krishna consciousness. This is the practical application they are mentioning. Practical means what? Which is not theoretical, right? So we go to laboratory and we take 2 hydrogen and 1 oxygen and we get water out of it. So likewise, this chapter is a practical application of Krishna consciousness, generally known as Karma Yoga. It is thoroughly explains how Karma Yoga can give you liberation. The purpose of this chapter is mentioned here. It is not a theoretical one, it is a practical one. And this explains Karma Yoga can give liberation. Here the ultimate goal is how to gain liberation through Karma Yoga. So that is the point here mentioned. And then the second focus of this sloka is Karma Yoga as action in full knowledge. What is this? Karma Yoga as action in full knowledge. How to understand this? Action in full knowledge. There are 3, things to understand what is this Karma Yoga as action in full knowledge. To work in Krishna consciousness means to work in full knowledge of Lord as the predominator. So Lord as the predominator. So we all are, next. The second point to understand. Such work is non-different from transcendental knowledge. Such work is non-different from transcendental knowledge. So how to understand this? We are eating prasadam. Then direct Krishna consciousness is Bhakti Yoga and Jnana Yoga is a path leading to Bhakti Yoga. Direct Krishna consciousness is Bhakti Yoga and Jnana Yoga is a path leading to Bhakti Yoga. So this is what the sentence means, direct Krishna consciousness. So that means getting into devotional service. So that is the reason. But this Jnana Yoga also okay, but which leads to Bhakti Yoga, then it is perfect. Then that otherwise that Jnana is useless. Then the third focus of this particular verse is position of living entity as eternal servant, right? The position of living entity as eternal servant. So we all are, part and parcel of the Lord. We mentioned, right? We all are part and parcel of the Lord, and we separated. We have come out, from the super soul. We all are, soul, and the actual position is pure soul is the servant of God as fragmental part and parcel. The pure soul is the eternal servant of God as this is our constitutional original position. Cause of his suffering. What is the cause of his suffering? Prabhupada again, raises one question. Okay, this is what now the pure soul, eternal servant of God as fragmental part and parcel. Now, why this particular jiva or this particular living entity is suffering? Because contact with Maya, illusion due to desire to lord it over. Another problem with that is the reason we have taken birth here. Otherwise, there is no birth. We will be in our original, position, right? Punarapi maranam, punarapi jananam. Why? It is again and again it is happening because we have the illusion due to desire to lord it over. So Lord gives minute independence. Okay, my dear son, my dear daughter, go and enjoy whatever you want. Nice body. depends on, whatever you want to lord it over. My dear Narendra Modi, you will be, empowered with this much power. Go and execute it. My dear Ambani, go and, execute. My dear, scientist, my dear so-and-so, knowledgeable people, go and execute it. Right? You want to lord it over. The moment you surrender, the moment you dedicate to the Lord, the moment you understand He is the supreme proprietor, then this position of living entity as eternal servant fulfills. No, no, I am the proprietor. No, no, I am the owner. I am the boss. I have, this much property. I have the bank balance. I have, this insurance policy. I am permanent here. That is what, because we are so natural and, we are comfortable with Maya. That is the reason we have come here. We are so comfortable, no doubt about it. We are very much comfortable with, Maya. Right? So, where is the question of thinking and coming to this stage? That is the reason Jnana, what is this? Jnana Yoga, required. Now we are in Karma Yoga. After getting this knowledge, how to do, getting into practical application to marching towards devotional service. What is this marching towards devotional service? Is understanding this cause of this suffering is contact with Maya. Prabhupada highlighted this because illusion due to desire to lord it over. That is what we are taking birth after birth. So that is the reason. This is what the third point, discussion in this particular verse. Then fourth point. Out of 7, fourth one here. The fourth point deals with Krishna consciousness, an arousing of a spiritual experience in the material world. An arousing of a spiritual experience in the material world. How it is possible? Yes. One has to execute work in terms of material necessities as long as one is in contact with matter. People cannot be idle. Even the person who is in coma, he has to think. But only that body will not realize. One has to execute work in terms of material necessities as long as one is in contact with matter. No, we cannot be idle even for a moment. That is the question of coming out of this Maya. So that is, as I mentioned in the previous point, we are so comfortable with all this, material desire and material activities and everything. We are so natural with that. But thinking of Krishna consciousness, arousing of a spiritual experience in the material world. However, Krishna consciousness brings one into spiritual life while one is in jurisdiction of matter. Brings one into spiritual life, right? While one is in the jurisdiction of matter. So, though the person who is in this matter, the body, then if the person understands, the soul and then super soul, this Krishna consciousness brings a person to arousing of the spiritual experience even in this material world. So that is what the fourth point. Many people ask, so, immediately will I get result? So, gradually one can elevate. So in Krishna consciousness, Prabhupada many times mentions. So where is there any benchmark for perfection? Prabhupada told in Krishna consciousness it is no end for perfection towards devotional service. Still the best yet to come. So that is the answer from Prabhupada. And then fifth point. So this is about Krishna consciousness. And then out of 7, the fifth point emphasizing on Lord is not partial to anyone, but reciprocates according to your approach. Very simple. Lord is not partial. For Lord, everything is part and parcel of the Lord. No doubt about it. But only the Lord will reciprocate according to your approach. So how to understand this? The more one is advanced, the more one is freed from the clutches of Maya. So what is this advancement? So we go to temple, we stand in front of the altar. The normal tendency of material life, the material being goes and asks, oh my dear Lord, give me this. Oh my dear Lord, give me that. We put everything in front of the Lord, this so and so, so and so, so and so. But a devotee who is going and standing in front of the Lord, Oh Lord, allow me, to do some seva to you. In what way I can please you? Right? What should be the mood? Then one could be free from the clutches of Maya. Otherwise, we are so natural with Maya. We are so comfortable with Maya. Right? Our mood always in Maya, no doubt about it. Right? So this is so strong, and we are also so accustomed to that. And only this getting into this Krishna consciousness. So Lord is so neutral. So Lord never says you come to me and you don't come to me like that. Lord gives equal opportunity for everyone in this material world. So only we should realize how it could be realized only through pure devotees mercy one can. Pure devotee means in today's lecture, it was mentioned that only the pure, devotees come to the stage of the middle level, devotee like Madhyama Adhikari. Then they give this preaching. Then one may be qualified to get that devotional service. This bhakti, the bhakti comes from bhakti. The philosophy is that not from this that this that this. So they are very the Uttamadhikari or Krishna, for they are very neutral. Lord is not partial to anyone. They are very neutral. Only it is for us. Only the pure souls. What to say? Only the Uttam Adhikari will come to Madhyam Adhikari level and then use this mercy to this bhakti to the devotees. Otherwise, it is not possible. And everything depends on one's practical performance of duties in Krishna consciousness. So here there is an answer. Everything depends on one's practical performance of duties in Krishna consciousness. So it does not mean following all the austerity that this. So how much we are getting into practical. So that gives the stage. How one could come to that platform? Once, if theoretically one understand, then they can get into this Nishkama Karma Yoga. Then one can please Krishna. Oh my, how the child, when everybody's having some food or something, then the baby brings some food and gives to the parents. You eat, open your mouth and eat. Immediately you see the happiness from the parents, father or mother. See, my child is trying to feed me. See how much love and affection this baby has got. So they are all self-sufficient. But even though the baby's mood in such a way that it is being mentioned here, Lord is not partial to anyone, but reciprocates according to your approach. But most of the time we go and stand in front of the altar, we go to pilgrimage, and oh my dear Balaji, give me this, two masala dosa, two this, this. Yes, obviously devotees, can ask for something rather asking to other demigods doing this homa, that homa, parigara, all these things. But coming to Krishna and straight away begging for our fallen position, nothing wrong in that. But the science behind this is everything depends on one's practical performance of duties. So what is this practical performance? In what sense? How you serve? Supreme proprietor, we have seen. Oh, I am the owner of this particular land, this particular building. We have attached so much. I am the owner for this particular car. I am the owner of so and so. Keep on, we can list out as I want to lord over. But this practical performance, no, this car is given by the Lord. This house is given by the Lord. I am simply a servant of this house. Only the mercy of the Guru Maharaj, only the mercy of senior devotees, I have got opportunity. If at all I am understanding, some devotees realization. If at all, I could convey something, only the mercy of Guru Maharaj, only the mercy of senior devotee. That mood is really perfect, right? And otherwise, there is no understanding about this. Depends on one's, practical performance of duties in Krishna consciousness. So this Karma Yoga is straight answer to get into the devotional service. The further points under the same topic. under Lord is not partial. These duties help one control the senses and conquer the influence of desire and anger. Very perfect solution. Peace formula. Prabhupada explaining, one by one to how peeling of banana so easy. Same way Prabhupada is giving each and every point in that way. So the peace formula. The duties help one control the senses and conquer. So the influence of desire and anger. So that means there is no question of the desire or lust or the material desires. When the person fully observed, the person who is fully qualified to observe the Krishna consciousness, there is no question of attack of this desire and anger. So it is so natural for the pure devotee to conquer or to vanquish all this. Yamunacharya and many Vaishnava acharyas, they are in our parampara, even in other parampara. So that such a thought comes, immediately I'll spit it on it. If any such a thought comes, immediately. For that, we no need any qualification. All these things. Even a person who born in a Shudra family, if follows all regulative principles and chanting, like Haridas Thakura, he is a perfect example, right? In the allurement of this prostitute approaches him. There is no he escaped or he overcome this allurement. Compare with Lord Shiva and Brahma and Vishwamitra and Kashyapa Muni, right? They all fallen in this case. But the pure devotee, these duties help one control the senses and conquer the influence of desire and anger. So that is a formula for happiness. Then further, to stand fast in Krishna consciousness and controlling the above mentioned patience, one remains in transcendental stage or Brahma Nirvana. How to understand this? One remains in transcendental stage. So that such a stage we call it as Brahma Nirvana. So the point here emphasized, as I gave example in the previous point. There is no hard and fast. No, we have to be in this. The devotee, there is no need any what to say. Highly qualification or this thing. This devotional service is the straight answer by chanting, by Shravanam, can never be the bhakti we all know. The one gradually, accumulate all this transcendental stage, they reaches one day to be a Uttamadhikari. From Madhyamadhikari to Uttamadhikari. Then the one can, feel or understand this particular point. What is this point? Lord is not partial to anyone, but reciprocates according to your approach. So Uttamadhikari approaches what? Oh Lord, give me your mercy. Give me, allow me to execute whatever my Guru Maharaj says, according to our, parampara. So, in that way. So that is what, this particular point emphasizes. We'll move to, sixth, focus of this particular verse or a purport of this verse. That is Ashtanga Yoga is automatically practiced in Krishna consciousness. So this sets the theme for understanding, next chapter also, and the fifth division, what I have told about this particular chapter. What is this? Ashtanga Yoga is automatically practiced in Krishna consciousness because the ultimate purpose is served. How to understand this point? Ashtanga Yoga is a process of gradual elevation by 8 steps. Ashtanga is a process of gradual elevation by 8 steps. That whatever, the 8 we have read in the beginning, right? These 8 steps only preface perfection by devotional service, right? These 8 steps only preface perfection by devotional service. So automatically, it is imbibed in this. So let us elaborate, discuss on this particular conclusion of, this. One more point is that. So what is this elaboration? I mean it. The previous verses, 27 and 28. So I told in the beginning, I will connect when, this particular point comes. See, here in section 5, we are discussing about section 6. So in this section 5, there are two verses, 27 and 28, which deals about liberation through Ashtanga Yoga. What is this liberation? It is only a preview. We are not discussing anything about, this Ashtanga Yoga in more detail, because it is a next chapter. So that also we will set the scene, how to conclude this chapter, and connectivity, sets by this preview to next chapter. So this has, the relation from this chapter to next chapter. Krishna, by discussing, and also it is a conclusion of this particular verse. One of the conclusion of, point of this particular verse. Krishna, by discussing Ashtanga Yoga, establishes it as an empirical path, and therefore one should reject it in favor of Bhakti Yoga. Straight answer. It is also one marga. It is also one path, to attain the liberation. But here Krishna straight away refuted. Krishna, by discussing Ashtanga Yoga, establishes it as an impractical path, which is not practical, and therefore one should reject it in favor of Bhakti Yoga, because this Ashtanga Yoga will not lead anyone or anything. More detail we will, discuss it in the next chapter. But here the preliminary understanding is this Ashtanga Yoga could be impractical. It is an impractical path, because which one should reject it in favor of Bhakti Yoga, right? So this is okay, but Bhakti Yoga is most appropriate. Further understand. Ashtanga Yoga was mentioned in this, 27th verse to set a scene for chapter 6. That is also concluded in this. What for these verses, 27 and 28, kept in this, particular chapter, action in Krishna consciousness or Karma Yoga, because the next chapter, means relevant, to discuss these two verses here. And then before practicing advanced stages of Ashtanga Yoga, as described in the 27 and 28, one must become purified by Nishkama Karma Yoga. So it is another conclusion or another detail of giving. We have been discussing entire thing about Nishkama Karma Yoga. What is Nishkama Karma Yoga? So I am not this body, and I am the spirit soul, and I am handing over whatever the results. I am surrendering, the results, giving or passing it to the Lord, whatever the benefit which I am, getting from this karmic activity. Say Modi is doing so much of, tour and, going here and there. Ambani is starting so much of ventures here and there. But if they dedicate all their, opulence, whatever they gain, this Bhagavan, we know, all, wealth, all power and everything, if someone dedicates the result to the Lord, then that particular thing we call it as Nishkama Karma Yoga. Otherwise, we have this bondage. Then one must be in full control of mind. So another, warning or additional information given is full control of mind. One must be completely indifferent to and unaffected by all material things. Completely indifferent to and unaffected by all material things. So this Nishkama Karma Yoga will elevate one person to that. That is a glorification or the conclusion of this particular, topic and this particular fifth division. So what we are talking. So this fifth division conclusion of, this verse is Ashtanga Yoga is a process of gradual elevation by 8 steps. So that is not recommended. These 8 steps only perfection by devotional service. When we get into devotional service, all these 8 are accumulated, attained already. Right? When we get into the platform of Nishkama Karma, All this, the purpose of Ashtanga Yoga. They are the perfect yogi. That is the conclusion. Now only that is the conclusion of next chapter also. Who is a true yogi? The one that anyway detailed but here in this sixth point out of 7 points, the conclusive points in this purport. The sixth point is more detail about the person who is getting into the stage of devotional service. Automatically, they attained all this Ashtanga Yoga and all these yogic activities, high level activities like that. The seventh point of our purport, today's purport, is the highest perfection of life. Right, the highest perfection of life. Only devotional service can award peace to the human being. What is this? The highest perfection of life. Only devotional service can award peace to the human being. So here Lord Krishna clearly says, in the beginning he told, in the beginning, it is mentioned. What it was mentioned? It was mentioned Bhoktaram Yajna Tapasam, Sarva Loka Maheshwara, and Suhurdam Sarva Bhutana. So after knowing, what is Lord Krishna and, the peace formula, Lord Krishna, the conclusive message, Prabhupada finishes, this particular purport like this: the highest perfection of life, only devotional service can award peace to the human being. Only devotional service. That is a conclusive message, here it is highlighted. That is the highest perfection of life. Nothing else. We can search here and there, that, this, that. Nothing will help. So, once again, I would like to, summarize. If there is a time, another 5 minutes, then I can, get into the practical application, or just, I will summarize, what are the points we have discussed. As I mentioned, from the purport, there are 7 points. So those 7 points are, this is the practical application of Krishna consciousness. Karma Yoga as action and full knowledge. Position of living entity as eternal servant. Fourth one, Krishna consciousness and arousing of a spiritual experience in the material world. And then Lord is not partial to anyone, but reciprocates according to your approach. And then Ashtanga Yoga is automatically practiced in Krishna consciousness. And then the highest perfection of life. These are the 7 points, is the essence of this particular purport. And Krishna, the understanding, the greatest peace formula is understanding Lord Krishna is beneficiary of all sacrifices and penances. Understanding Krishna is a supreme proprietor of all planets and demigods. Understanding Lord Krishna is the benefactor and well-wisher of all living entities. This is the essence of this particular verse. And the theme of this verse tells Arjuna how he can remain peaceful. That is the theme. So Lord gives, straight answer, So this is the way, even though you may be in a battlefield or wherever you are. So this is the formula. So Lord gives. This is the topic in the 6th division, peace on the platform of liberation. So in the platform of liberation, one attains the peace. A person in full Krishna full consciousness of Krishna attains liberation from the pangs of material miseries. So about the liberation only here, this chapter fully deals with liberation by focusing on the super soul and liberation. What is it? Liberation through Ashtanga Yoga, and then platform of knowledge, knowing these 3 doers, and then how to perform Nishkama Karma Yoga. And Nishkama Karma Yoga easier than renouncing the work. So this is the way this, chapter being divided, and this is the understanding of this. So there are many practical applications given. So there is time I could, discuss that. Otherwise, I will stop here. And thanks for all your, patiently listening. If at all anything from my Rajasic and Tamasic mood, anything, if I expressed something wrong, so please forgive, and you can, share your thoughts, and you can, share your questions. You are most welcome for another 5 to 10 minutes. Thanks for joining, Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. First of all, I would like to thank you for a wonderful class. The points are very good. Like it's in a class. Our students now we are giving points the same like that type. You have noted very well all the 7 points like Ashtanga Yoga. By doing Krishna consciousness, automatically it will come, and everything you told perfectly. My question is here. We know without the permission of Krishna, not even a single blade of grass will not move. To become a Krishna consciousness, we need the mercy of Krishna also, right? How to get it?
No, this no, a very perfect question. It is it is more elaborated way. It is I mentioned in one particular point. That is what even today's temple verse, Srimad Bhagavatam 1.1.7. So in this, what I learned, just I could share, or many senior devotees are there, they could add. See, the mercy, we all are thinking. So here the one point, I'd like to repeat what we have discussed today. See, this is very deeper understanding. Lord is not partial. I'm repeating, for 5th point out of 7 of Prabhupada purport. Lord is not partial to anyone, but reciprocates according to your approach. How to understand this? Because here, everything depends on one's practical performance of duties in Krishna consciousness. So this is directly it has set the answer to the thing. How much you please Krishna, how much you deeper into Krishna consciousness, that much you are away from the Maya. And relation to your question is, I will be remain in Maya, and I will ask with the pure devotee's mercy. The mercy will when it will come, how it will come, for whom it will come. This is what the question which you are raised. How this mercy, through whom it will come and how it will come. The answer, straight answer to you. This is very important way of understanding. See, the straight answer is bhakti comes from bhakti. How to understand this? Because the person who is in the in the in the Uttama Adhikari stage, they are already in the mood of I am so fallen than anybody else. I'm repeating. See, the person who is in the Uttama Adhikari stage, as equivalent to Krishna, or nobody can be Krishna, including Krishna. What is the mood of Krishna? That is what here it is. See, here Lord is impartial, right? Because they treat everybody equally. So there is no point of Uttama Adhikari here. The Uttama Adhikari who comes down as a Madhyama Adhikari, and like Prabhupada, many times who addresses people as a rascal. The person who is in Uttama Adhikari stage, they will not come down, because they look at everything in the equal platform. Only through the stage of Madhyama Adhikari, one who comes and gives bhakti to somebody, and if they have desire, this point, what is this? How much practical performance of duties in Krishna consciousness? Oh, some person is coming and some person is telling something. So let us give our ears to that. That's Shravanam. There, that love of Godhead, arises. That Bhakti Lata Bija. That starts from, Madhyama Adhikari to a neophyte or someone who is qualified, or the so-called, the mercy seeker, the seeker of the mercy. They don't know whether they got the mercy or not, but this is how the practical process. People are going here and there, people mention, so I do this, I do that, I went to, this, what to say, Sabarimala, I went to this, some so-and-so. There are other parampara or other, unauthorized, association or something. And they will relate, I have been doing this, but nothing is coming. No mercy. Still, where is the mercy? Have I got, that mercy? All these things. And one more example also today I hear. The person who got initiated, in our parampara, initiated, and if somebody is thinking, oh, still, I have not, attained the stage of, chanting attentively. That means the answer is still the connectivity between that guru and, disciple is not happening properly. So the moment we get into this, automatically that bhakti comes from bhakti. So this is what, learnings from this Srimad Bhagavatam 1.2.7. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhu.
Anybody else would like to add any points? Hare Krishna. Thanks.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Yes. Hare Krishna.
Dandavat Pranam. Wonderful explanation. I mean, you explained, like Mataji said, you explained everything very well. I mean, even anybody who's new would very easily understand. So you explained the peace formula, very, very nice. That Lord is the benefactor and well-wisher of all living entities, and He is the all yajna sacrifices are meant for Him. And He is the supreme proprietor of everything in the universe, all the planetary systems and the demigods, and one should leave Ashtanga yoga and accept devotional service, which is the perfection, and the three doers, which are the material nature, soul, and the super soul. And although you mentioned many points, I mean, I can recollect only these few. And really everything was very beautifully explained, Prabhuji, very easy to understand. And with your permission, I would just like to say something about what Mataji just asked about mercy. I feel that this is mercy, that we are all connected through to Vidur Madhava Prabhu's Bhakti Vriksha. Not everybody can go to temple all the time, and given the circumstances, we are having these classes on Zoom. Prabhuji, make sure that even if he is not there, every Sunday there is a class. Somebody is there to give the class, and we get to hear the discourse, explanation. Otherwise, if this channel was not there, we would be doing something material. Like you said, we are so comfortable with material nature, which has become our nature. So we look forward to this Sunday association. Earlier, it was in the temple, in the Sunday, the drama temple. So getting the discourse and through this Bhakti Vriksha and through Prabhuji, and whenever we ask question, Prabhuji, he gives wonderful explanation all the time whenever we approach him. And now you are giving this class and explaining so beautifully. So much effort has gone into this. When we can see the endeavor, like you explained, so easy, you made it so easy to understand all those points, although there was so much information. So associating and this association, this is how one of the ways Krishna gives his mercy. And maybe if we qualify, we do something good, maybe we'll get more mercy. And that is what I understand, Prabhu. Thanks, Prabhuji. Wonderful explanation. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, nice observations, and the points which you recalled all are very important, and the Prabhupada made easy for us, to how much effort, see by see you're telling, see all these, points, many points, see how much, Prabhupada and, our acharyas gone through. We are insignificant, to take all this. They have given so much that devotional service. That means, practical application, bringing out. That is a big question mark. Yes, we know, but as you mentioned one point, we are so comfortable with this, Maya. Like, Vidura Prabhu mentioned, yesterday, giving, a bribe, and so not that angle. And knowingly, see, I am into this spiritual platform, but I need to get it done, my things in top priority, and I need more about this material comfort, See, I cannot, maintain this austerity that, whatever the level, so I mentioned one example that The baby, which takes, some eatables and goes and feeds their parents. Their parents not seeing, what that particular delicious food our children, our, child is, feeding me, but the love of, my children is very important. So I quoted, this example. We stand in front of the deities and we always in the mood of, oh God, what you are going to give it to me. Rather, the pure devotees will be in the mood. One example, so I remember immediately. Um, Kamala Krishna Maharaj asked, Prabhupada once, Prabhupada, every day you are lying down and, praying to the Lord, in front of the deities. What you are asking? Prabhupada told, see, protect me from Maya, right? See, that example, says even for Prabhupada, it is like that, So the mood, see what he is doing so much of service, but he wants to quote this example in this contradictory way of, understanding and it's understanding, this particular point, right? So what to speak about, others. We always in the mood of, receiving something, from the Lord. So always we should uh, go and, pray for what I can do, what I can, how I can engage myself in that way. So that mood, when it will come, Lord also, will reveal, to that level. That is understand. Thanks for nicely, you know, brought out all those observations. Thanks for correction.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Thanks, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Thanks. Your points. 2 verses. I I was remembering you when I was explaining about that 5th point. I remembered you. Sorry. Yes, Prabhu. You can.
Prabhuji, thank you so much for the detailed class. And actually each and every sentence has so many layers to it. That's why every time whenever we listen to the same shloka explanation, we get to know a different angle because previously we would not have touched upon that layer, right? If suppose today you explained, I could understand. Now after 2 days, there'll be some other point, which we would not have discussed. So each and every class requires, intense, because initially if you go through one, reading of Bhagavad Gita of any shloka, we get this, we get this thought that okay, I have completed Bhagavad Gita. Okay, but then with time, and we go through each and every session, each and every shloka, we understand that each and every sentence has so much of layers to it that it will take almost a lifetime to understand, right? So thank you so much for the detailed explanation. And also, the pertinent question which Shobha Mataji asked, which you explained, and Ankit Prabhu added his points. I totally agree that, in terms of mercy and all, like we all have this practical example, that before coming to Krishna consciousness, whenever we used to visit to temple, any temple, whether it is demigod temple or Krishna temple, we used to have something in our mind, something material. But slowly, even though we are neophyte in Krishna consciousness, that thing has gone at least. Whenever we visit temple, we don't have this, laundry list of material things which we have to ask. So this shows that, if somebody is in Krishna consciousness, at least he has this thought that, okay, all my basic material desires and wherever Krishna, takes me, whatever he provides me, I am happy with that. So at least even for a neophyte devotee, this thing is assured that wherever he is or whatever he or she is doing, Krishna will take care, right? Through the disciplic succession, of course. And like, Amrendra Prabhu mentioned how these classes are coming to us, we are sitting in different locations, but still we are all connected. So this mercy is, uh, flowing through Vidur Prabhu. And obviously, Vidur Prabhu gives this example that even Zoom is getting some kind of benefit. Although there might be many material sessions or material things that Zoom might be hosting, but just by hosting these, providing a platform for these spiritual classes, even Zoom and Zoom owners are getting some benefits. right? So thank you so much, Prabhuji, for the detailed class.
Nice points. You shared. Thanks. Really, see the real understanding or the progress. This even it is relevant to today's discussion. How much that the more one is in advance, the more in the free from clutches of Maya. So that means the moment we are so comfortable with Maya and going to demigods and going and asking shortcuts, how to get all this, all are material. No end for this. That is not the peace formula. The real peace formula is the realizing that coming out of this laundry list and going and this nice points. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Nice observation. Hare Krishna. Thanks for sharing. Okay, Hare Krishna. Once again, thanks for joining from Jagannath Mandir West Outpost Bhakti Sadan class. So, we would like to conclude today's session. So over to host Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you for the wonderful class. And
Hare Krishna.
wish we could have heard more. You were talking about the practical application. But yes,
Okay.
I think on another occasion maybe we will get to hear more from you.
No problem. Thanks for your association also.
Hare,
Hare Krishna.
thank you very much. Thanks to all devotees for joining. We'll again meet next week.
Thank you,
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thanks. Hare
Thank you
Krishna.
very much.
Thanks.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Jai.
Hare Krishna.
Irthala.